Hi everyone. Today we'll study second chapter together. But before beginning to the second chapter, let me check if you remember the first chapter. Let's look at the first one. I'll show you some sentences and you'll tell me if they are true or false. Now the first. Jo loved playing music, but her hands got too tired. Is it true or false? It's false because Beth loved playing music. And the second, Beth complained about Christmas. What about this? Is it true or false? Again, it's false because Beth said that we had father and mother, also each other. There's no need to complain, she said. And the third, their father was away at the war. Is it true or false? It's true because everyone knows that their father was at the war. What about the fourth? Their mother said, I'll be prouder than ever of my little women. You're right, it's false because their father said this. Their father, wrote this in the letter. What about the last one? Amy decided to buy a little bottle of perfume for her mom. That's true. Amy said this. It's true. Now you are ready for the second chapter. We have a new character, Old Hannah. Who was Old Hannah? Let's look at the information. She had lived with the family since Meg was born. Meg was 16 years old. It means that she had lived with the family for 16 years. And the second one, she was more like a friend than a servant. In fact, she was a servant in that house, but not only a servant, but also a close friend for them. In the morning, what happened? Let's look. First of all, girls woke up and they went downstairs. They searched their mom, but they couldn't find their mother. They asked, where is our mom? And old Hannah said that she went off to see what the poor woman needed. In the morning, the poor woman came to the house and Mrs. Marsh went off to see what she needed. As you remember, the girls bought some presents for their mother. They put the presents in a basket under a chair because it would be a surprise. The girls hid the presents. They heard the bang, the first bang. They supposed that their mother was coming and they hid the basket. But who came? Amy came. And Amy changed the little bottle of perfume for a big one. At first, she wanted to buy a little bottle of perfume for her mom because she thought that with the rest of the money, she could buy something for herself. But after that, she thought that she was a bit selfish, and then she changed her mind and she wanted to buy a bigger one. After that, they heard the second bang. And they supposed their mother was coming, and they were right. So they pushed back the basket under the chair while their mother was coming. But Mrs. Marsh looked sad. What happened to the woman? And there was a problem with a poor woman called Mrs. Hummel. But who was Mrs. Hummel? Let's learn. She was a neighbor. She lived close to the Marsh family, but she was so poor with a newborn baby. She had a newborn baby and also she had 6 children. 6 children were in one bed. They had no wood for a fire. There was nothing to eat. They had nothing to eat. Mrs. Marsh wanted their children to share their breakfast with this family as a Christmas present. Of course, they agreed. They put their breakfast in a basket. After that, they went to that house. The March family and also Hannah went there. And the woman lived in a miserable little room in an old building. When they went there, the children looked frightened and the baby was crying. First, they were so cold. Hannah made a fire. Mrs. March gave the mother tea and hot food. The girls fed the children like hungry birds. The children were so hungry, they ate everything in a hungry way. The girls didn't eat anything. Although they didn't eat anything, it was a happy meal. No one was happier than those hungry girls because they learned the importance of sharing something. They learned the importance of helping someone who is in need. After that, they returned their home. Mrs. March was surprised when she saw her presents because she didn't know that the girl had bought those presents. And everyone said that Happy Christmas, and there was lots of kissing and hugging. After that, the girls became busy with a play. Jo wrote the play, and the other sisters were going to act it out. On that day, on that night, Christmas night, let me say, they had some visitors. Other girls came to watch the play. At first, the visitors heard some laughing, some whispering behind the curtains. But after that, they heard some laughters again because there was a castle which was made of paper, and while the characters were trying to escape from the castle, it went down and everyone became to laugh. What about the characters of the play? Hugo, beautiful Zara, brave Rodrigo, two ghosts, and a cruel king. It was a great play. After the play, everyone was hungry. Hannah invited everyone to the supper. Do you remember Hannah? The servant. Okay. There was delicious food, such as ice cream, cake, fruit, and French chocolate. Also, there were some flowers in the middle of the table for each of the actors. Everyone was shocked because they had not enough food, to eat because they shared everything with the family. But they started to guess who sent them, who sent this food. And they said that maybe Father Christmas sent it. They said maybe Aunt March sent it. But the mother said that you were all wrong, she said, because old Mr. Lawrence sent it. But who was old Mr. Lawrence? Let's learn. He lived in the big house next door. He was the Lawrence boy's grandfather. The Lawrence boy. You don't know him. They saw the Lawrence boy in the street, but they didn't talk because the Lawrence boy was a bit shy. And Hannah told him the girls' breakfast party, and it pleased him. Also, old Mr. Lawrence knew the girls' grandfather, and he knew them. And after learning that the girls shared their breakfast with the poor family, he was so pleased and he wanted to make a surprise for them. And he wanted to send them a few small Christmas presents. Joe believed that the idea came from the Lawrence boy. Also, the Lawrence boy spent his time with his tutor also. Okay, my friends, we have some questions, but in the second video, let me say, I'll ask you some questions if you have understood the chapter very well or not. So I want to finish this video now. Thanks for listening to me.